When Amelia bought the Carrington estate, everyone told her she was making a mistake. The mansion had been empty for nearly 30 years. It stood at the edge of town behind rusted iron gates, surrounded by enormous oak trees and gardens that had long since grown wild. Ivy covered one side of the house, climbing toward the upper windows. The stone walls were stained dark from years of rain, and several of the windows were cracked. But Amelia didn't see a haunted house. She saw a home. She had spent most of her life wanting a place that belonged entirely to her. Something old. Something permanent. Something far away from the memories she was trying to escape. Especially the memory of her sister. 11 years had passed since her sister drowned. Amelia never spoke about that night. She couldn't. There were some things that became easier to live with if they remained unspoken. 3 weeks after moving in, Amelia began exploring the parts of the house she hadn't touched. The attic was last. She climbed the narrow staircase late one evening, carrying her phone as a flashlight. Dust covered everything. Old furniture stood beneath white sheets. Boxes were stacked against the walls, and yellowed photographs lay scattered across the floor. Then she heard something. A faint melody. Amelia stopped. She listened. The sound came from the far end of the attic. There, beneath a dusty cloth, sat a small wooden music box. It was beautifully carved from dark oak. Tiny figures danced around the lid, their hands joined in a circle. At the center stood a woman whose face had been completely scratched away. Amelia picked it up. The wood was ice cold. A brass crank protruded from its side. She turned it. The music began. Amelia's breath caught. The melody was beautiful, but there was something deeply unsettling about it. It sounded like an old lullaby played in an empty room. Then, just for a second, Amelia saw a lake. Black water, moonlight, her sister standing on the shore. Amelia dropped the box. The music stopped. She stared at it. Just a memory. She picked it up and carried it downstairs. She should have left it in the attic. Instead, she put it on the mantel. And a week later, she decided to show it to her friends. The housewarming party began just after sunset. By 9 o'clock, the Carrington estate was filled with laughter. Claire, Amelia's closest friend, wandered from room to room, admiring the house while repeatedly reminding Amelia that she was completely insane for buying it. Brian brought wine. Sophie and Nathan brought flowers. Ellie, a quiet neighbor Amelia barely knew, brought champagne. For a few hours, everything felt normal. Then Brian asked about the house's history. "So," he said, leaning against the fireplace, "why was this place empty for 30 years? Amelia shrugged. "The last Carrington woman died here, Eleanor. She had no children." "How did she die?" "Heart failure." Brian looked disappointed. "That's boring." Everyone laughed. Amelia glanced toward the mantel. The music box sat beneath a cloth. "I found something interesting upstairs." She uncovered it. Ellie's expression immediately changed. "Where did you find that?" "The attic." Ellie stared at it. "You shouldn't play it." Brian grinned. "Now we definitely have to." Amelia laughed nervously. She picked up the box. "Just once," she said. She turned the crank. The melody filled the room. Everyone became quiet. The song was hauntingly beautiful. Brian's smile slowly disappeared, his eyes fixed on the music box. Then he whispered, "I stole money from my grandmother while she was dying." The room went silent. Brian's face turned white. He looked around. I don't know why I said that. The music stopped. Nobody moved. Claire stared at him. Was that true? Brian looked down. Yes. He began to cry. They should have stopped there. They didn't. Sophie insisted it had to be some kind of psychological trick. She picked up the box. She wound it. The melody began again. Sophie suddenly covered her mouth. I wished my baby would die. Nathan stared at her. What? I never hurt him, she said through tears. I swear, I was exhausted. He cried constantly, and one night I just wanted everything to stop. Nathan backed away from her. The song ended. No one spoke. Ellie slowly stood. Put it away. Amelia reached for the box. Before she could take it, Claire grabbed it. Maybe there's a rational explanation. She turned the crank. The music began. Claire's face changed. Her eyes became distant. I told everyone she ran away. Amelia frowned. Who? My sister. Claire began trembling. But she didn't run away. Amelia felt the blood drain from her face. I locked her in the basement. Claire's voice cracked. I was 10. I thought she'd stop bothering me. I didn't know she would. She stopped. The music ended. Claire stared at the box. What did I just say? No one answered. Then the box began playing again. Nobody had touched it. The crank turned by itself. Slowly. Deliberately. The lights flickered. Amelia backed away. The melody changed. It became slower. Darker. And suddenly she smelled lake water. Her heart began pounding. No. The others looked at her. Amelia grabbed the edge of the table. No. No, no. The music grew louder. A memory surfaced. Her sister. The lake. An argument. A shove. Amelia's sister falling backward into the water, her hands reaching upward. Amelia standing on the shore, watching, not moving. I pushed her. The words escaped before Amelia could stop them. Claire stared at her. Amelia? I pushed my sister into the lake. Amelia began to cry. I could have saved her. The melody slowed. But I didn't. The final note rang through the room. I watched her drown. Silence. Then someone screamed. Amelia turned toward the fireplace. The mirror above it had fogged over. A handprint appeared on the glass. Then another. Slowly a figure emerged in the reflection. A young woman. Her hair was soaked. Water streamed down her face. Her lips were blue. Amelia knew her immediately. Her sister. The figure had stared darkly at her, then smiled. The music box began playing again. A voice whispered through the room. Not from the box. Not from the mirror. From somewhere inside the walls. Why did you let me drown? The front door slammed shut. Every light in the house went out, and from somewhere upstairs came the sound of a woman laughing.